back in 1975. Perhaps the reason why so many decided to take this leap of faith in 1975 is because they still remembered the Second World War, a nationalist-fueled conflict that ravaged our continent. We've made a lot of progress since then. Thanks to the European project, borders have become little more than a formality, and conflict a tragic rarity. However, I think most of you will agree that the current state of affairs is far from perfect. Consider France failing to prevent the 2015 Paris terror attacks due to Belgian grudges over intelligence sharing. Or Austria responding to Italy's pleas during the refugee crisis by stationing soldiers on the border. Or even member states' general reluctance to abide by environmental agreements. Even now, European states still view one another as rivals. As if that weren't bad enough, consider the troubling international scene we're in. The United States continuously calling the fate of NATO into question. China snatching away investment opportunities in developing countries. And Russia exerting its influence by meddling with elections in the West. And Europe? Europe has been caught right in the middle of all this. And what do I think is the answer to our continent's troubles? A European federation. A federation where all European nations can exist as collaborators within a continent-wide centralized government. A federation that would yield security as well as prosperity. A united army to make us the third largest military force in the world. A common foreign policy to greatly boost our involvement with developing markets. A tighter intelligence network to stop the enemies of liberal democracy dead in their tracks. By operating under the same flag, European nations would realize that a gain made by one is a gain made by all. We'll no longer see one another as reluctant collaborators, but rather siblings in the same European family. We've got the potential, we've got the tools. All that we need now is the willpower to make something out of them. Some of you might be thinking, okay, well, but won't federalism weaken the sovereignty of European nations even further? Not necessarily. European federalism would be built on the premise that the national and federal governments share separate duties. National governments would continue to administer day-to-day local affairs. A federal government, meanwhile, could take on the issues that still cause fruitless bickering in EU institutions, notably defense, immigration, and foreign policy. With a federal government, we would be able to reap more benefits from these policies, and those benefits would strengthen our collective sovereignty as Europeans. Ladies and gentlemen, federalism will not further dilute your sovereignty. I believe federalism will strengthen your sovereignty by aligning your interests with those of other European nations, strengthen it by creating more powerful channels of security and foreign policy making, strengthen it by enabling you, by enabling us, to stand up to our rivals abroad and take control of our own destiny. And ultimately, a truly federal Europe will enable us, Europeans, to seize our rightful place in the halls of history's great powers. Thank you.